sharing a little bit of real life stuff going on, through the internet world, of just recently unsubscribing because there's only so much wickedness and lies and false accusations before it's cut off. Father cuts off the wicked, so the believers have to be separated from it. No amount of comments or scriptures will do anything to these blind minds that don't have eyes to see. I looked quickly before I did that through some titles, and my name was in there with like 2 and with spelled wrong and whatever, just a child. And what a carnal man does, tell you a secret that I've been given by my Father, who creates creation during the day and not the night, and is the light of the world. What a carnal man does, whether religious or not, is always make it about you personally and or them, putting it on them, putting that you are making it about them. So right before I unsubscribed, I saw some videos of some words real quick, looked, and then I unsubscribed because I didn't even watch them. I'm not going to watch delusion on things I know are true, that I've been given, that I prayed for, and have received an answer on day beginning at the morning. Daylight given to me by my Creator. But these people will say man's doctrine, and they'll masquerade all day long because they're devils, and that's what the devil's the best at. They masquerade as angels of light when they're Satan themselves in the flesh. They're the devil's word manifested in the flesh. So the quick words that I read real quick was, does Ryan still love me? Does he still love me? Do you love me still? They put this on with that beastly image of the beast, projecting the image of the beast. They're projecting something when they say this. The first thing another carnal mind will see is, uh-oh, yeah, Ryan hates him because he's saying, do you still love me? So they'll make these false accusations that are not true, that have nothing to do with truth. It's not about you, man, whoever you are, won't even say your name. A man. It's not about you. I don't think about you when I go to sleep or during the day. Your doctrines and your wicked teachings are exposed. It's not about you. It's not about me. Do I still love you? You're such a god in your own mind. It's so wicked that you project this image that has nothing to do with truth or my heart, asking and putting it out so people can see, does he still love me? If he doesn't listen to me and do what I say and worship me because I'm God, she calls Satan she because it's his wife. Sick. He won't be able to stop saying that either. Satan is she. Find me a scripture where it says Satan is she. A pervert of the truth with a perverted heart and a child, a carnal little child, with false accusations about my heart, of which things he can't even see or understand. Took down his bread video, looks like, before I unsubscribed. There was a video talking about physical bread and showing it, and here's bread and bubbles on it and stuff. Looks like he took it down for a reason. Believers don't have to hide anything. He's been exposed, and nobody's ever exposed him like this, or at least in a long time, So when someone walks away from him, he says they're the devil and they're unbelievers. But I'm wondering if some of the people he said that walked away from him were actually believers. Yes, because they started to find out the lies of a day starting at night and the spiritual problem with this. The spiritual problem, because Satan is of the darkness and his children are of the darkness. Therefore, their Sabbath day starts at evening, night. Even though there is no scripture of Sabbath night, they will continue to pervert truth and ignore the painfully simple verses, of which there's dozens. about a day starting at morning, but they ignore them and act like they never are there. And then they will say, Rayanne is a liar, and does he still love me? It was never about you. If you watch this video, it was never about you. Okay, gotta make a turn here. Go this way. Okay. Fire truck's coming. Never about you, my friend. Friend? Friends don't do what that man did to me with the comments and videos, you know? They don't lie and make false accusations and teach doctrines of demons, do they? You wouldn't do that to a friend. No. So then he blindly, because the Father made him a fool, makes people fools that think they're wise with their own mind. They become utter fools. So that we can see that his word is true and his power is true. Go and watch these people be blind. Go and watch the work of the Father, our Messiah fighting with his sword, destroying these people utterly. The only thing left for them is judgment. Very thing they've escaped, and they're righteous, and everyone else is going to be burned in hell for all eternity. I can't even describe how wicked this thing is. They put it on our Father. Yes, Yahweh, whatever he uses, his God is the devil, no matter what name he uses. He is God in his mind. That's why they have to make it personal and say, does he still love me? Never was about you, nor was the question ever brought up. Me going away from you because I care about truth and hear my Father's voice on simple things that I've asked for and have received, and going away from you and exposing the wicked lies they teach is not me not loving you. Pretty perverted and sick, but they project the image of the beast so that people can see that such and such believer has a hateful heart. And why does he have a hateful heart? Because he doesn't believe what I say. He exposes my lies. I'm God. I'll project that he hates me because he doesn't listen to me. I'm God. The guy's a prideful beast. Anyone that's carnal is a prideful beast. It's true about every single person on the face of the earth. He heard doctrine from likely believers during his life, past years, and took some of them, and then mixes it with the lies that Satan's given him, his own understanding, which is wicked. Our own understanding is garbage. A fool has more understanding than someone that's wise in their own eyes. I'm not wise. I'm nothing. They can't say these words and truly believe them in their heart. No, they can't. So when I get an answer from my Creator, I'm not confused about it. You know, when I get an answer on the Sabbath, it's nothing to do with some pagan holiday. And of course, the spiritual understanding of the Sabbath is more important to me. But these are also important because it's showing me something. It's giving me discernment. These are the children of the night that say day is night. They call good evil and they call evil good. They call the night day and they call day night. It's so painfully blind and dead and obvious. They will not see, though. They'll keep talking about the bubbles in their bread and how this makes them righteous. Their father's the devil, and he keeps on whispering in his ear. And our Father, the true Creator, has hardened people. They resist bitterly, and then they project the image of the beast that someone hates them because they don't believe that a day starts at night, or that the Sabbath is on a pagan, beastly calendar Saturday, or that our Father tortures people for all eternity. They project that I hate him to try and keep him safe and hidden. See? Keep him safe and hidden as if he's good and loving. He has nothing but hatred in his heart. It's not possible for a carnal man to have love in the heart for a believer. That would be calling our Father a liar, that he hasn't put enmity between the spiritual and the carnal. The woman's seed, his people, Israel, his people versus the serpent seed, the devil's children, of which the world is, which everyone has been. If someone can't pray for truth and seek truth from the heart, because I don't need to sit here and give 40 verses that exist about this, verse after verse after verse. They don't listen anyways. They ignore it anyways. It's worthless. It's worthless. They will not listen. They've been blinded. It's a strong, damnable blinding, man. It is the strongest thing I've ever seen. It's like the Red Sea getting split. That's the same power that I see there. It's real strong and it's real ugly when someone's blinded like this. They cannot take back anything because they're God, and God's never wrong. And then God says to true believers that don't get their truth from man, they pray to our Creator and rely on Him for everything, through our Messiah for everything, for all understanding and all truth, so not to be deceived, come out of deception. Carnal people don't. God is always right. And then anybody that exposes God as being evil, teaching evil, doctrines of demons, anybody that does this is suddenly hateful. Yes, that's exactly the only thing I've been saying that a carnal man could do, is vicious hatred for the truth and our Creator and the true Messiah. So they have to do that very thing and say, we're hatred. We're doing this because we don't listen to them. That's right. It's better to listen to my Father than some carnal man that talks about bubbles in his bread and has no spiritual food to freely give, but only gives the deceitfulness of his heart and the wisdom in his own eyes, which a fool has more understanding than someone that is wise in his own eyes. A fool. Scriptures are consistent. Whoever thinks he's wise in his own mind, they don't know anything yet. Let them become fools. They lie about Paul. They lie about believers. They falsely accuse constantly, day and night. They accuse the brethren. This is the job of the devil and all his children to have the devil in them. They haven't been purged out of Satan, This might be one of the last, if not, about bringing a certain thing up there. Before I unsubscribed, I saw some more false accusations, of projecting the image of, does he still love me? Does Ryan still love me? See, what's that's projecting? It's projecting that I hate him. That's what these people do when they're exposed. That's what unbelievers do. It's what religious carnal people do, constantly. It's evil. It's not about the person, and yet they make it about the person because they have to. Okay, I got to do an order real quick. Maybe I should just end it here. But a day starts at day. Children of the day. So this is that disappointment that I talk about, because we just have to go away from it, There really has to be a separation utterly, because what I've found is that if you keep going, you'll just see what you already shown, whatever he's shown you will just happen over and over again. Everything you give them, they act as if it doesn't exist, and then they keep pounding in their lies of a day starting at night. And the reason why this is so big deal is because spiritually these people are in darkness, children of the day, in the night, children of the night. That's why they've been hardened to believe a day begins at night. It's so stupid and foolish, this teaching, this ungodly lie. He calls day daylight and day, and he calls night Darkness, night. Very simple. So then they descend into the darkness when they so-called keep their Sabbath at night. They begin at night and their days begin at night. It's that scary backwards. Their life is that backwards spiritually. Their heart is that backwards. Everyone's heart is like this until we start coming out of Egypt, but they're still in it, the carnal. So then an evening and the morning is 180, from the dozens of scriptures that teach a day starts at the morning, It trips them up. They teach the exact perverted opposite thing, that our Father works during the night. It's what they have to teach. Don't they realize that? Because evening is night, and that's when day starts. So then he works at the night and rests during the day. He created and works during the day, and evening comes, rest, because our Father's not a worker in the dark. This is spiritual truth here. I have to pick up this food real quick.
Hello, 728.
Yeah, it's real sad, So then he works during the day, evening, no work. And then there was that evening, and then a morning, new day. This is how it is. And all the scripture supports that true teaching, truth. All of it does. Remember Messiah, what he said, when night comes and no man is able to work? Is he talking about literally what the world? No, this is a true spiritual teaching. No man is able to work. No believer is working in that darkness. The woman hid this leaven. They do their work in darkness, and they feed people leaven while they say they keep the unleavened bread. They feed people leaven in darkness. And then this leaven grows inside of us, the very thing that they reject and cannot see or understand, and we're corrupted. So then nobody can have hell in them and not be corrupted unless it's purged out. No one can say a day starts at night forever. We'll come to that truth. And if someone just heard of it for the first time, this is what a believer will do. They'll pray about it and say, I don't want truth for myself. I don't want what I want or what feels good. You show me whether it's this or that, and that's it. If I don't like it, too bad. And so that's what happens. That's what he showed me. Because the blinding's so strong, you actually have to pray for even the simple understandings, because these people are reading simple letters and words that scripture has plenty of simple statements, and they cannot see what it says. Scary. And then we're talking about truth. We're not talking about one man or something. We're talking about what the carnal man is. They have to make it personal and ask the question that was never asked by anybody. Does he still love me? It's so sick. And I've seen this so much. I've seen it in the job that I was for 3 years, my last job. They did it to me. It all became about them, personal, me, It was all about me when it wasn't about me. And they kept playing games until they drove me out. Kept playing games until I couldn't even do work at all at the place. And it wasn't going to stop, so that's why I left without a plan, knowing that the Father's going to take care of it, and he did. I walked out, and he took care of it. It wasn't overnight, but I survived. And that's been my experience with people everywhere. That's what the carnal person will do. They'll make it personal about you or me, because they want to show you and do something with people that are listening around them. They want to make it so that projecting that what you're doing The only goal that I'm doing or you're doing or believers doing is we have hatred in our heart, and this is what it's about. It's so childish, it's scary. Acknowledging that my heart's not perfect 24/7, that it needs help every day. Not afraid to say that, but I can say that it wasn't about me, like people sickly make up these things, falsely accuse. Do you still love God? Do you still love me? It's scary, man. It's scary what I see, what I really, really see. These people are literally God in their own minds. If you don't listen to them, you hate them with hatred, and you don't listen to God. You have to make it personal. This is what everyone would do. This is not children do, because the believers just want truth. They want to live the truth. Nothing but it. Say those words. While there's statues behind them, worshiping men, it's good. Turn it into God. So then that's what they have to do. That's how they attack people in the dark and do it real tricky. Think I can't see what they're doing. Every time the person's spotted, they reject and deny, and they get hardened even more and go for the next attack. Yes, to uncover lies is to murder them, basically, from their perspective. See, because they're God. You take this, you're basically saying, I'm teaching lies, you must hate me. They hate truth. See, it's an enemy to them. It's a vicious enemy. The truth. What our Father says is true is true. Carnal man, the carnal mind is enmity towards him and all his truth, and the carnal mind is not able to be subjected to his law, not even able to do so. What's he talking about there, Paul, since he's not carnal? About all these laws and commandments and what they mean in the heart. He's not able to be subjected to them. The very thing a carnal man must teach the opposite. Not only are they able to, this is what they do all day long and tell people to do. It's mockery. It's real evil, and I need to find out where I'm going. So let's see if I could do this. Customer. Directions. People need direction. Sadly, the answer is pretty simple, People don't look to our Creator for any answers. Then they have to project the image and say this is man's teaching. That's not man's teaching. Come from man, that a daylight starts. I didn't create the creation. Just more false accusations. It's real disgusting and disturbing. Man's teaching is that day starts at the morning. A pure truth that scriptures teach, and spiritually is one with that, not contradicting the natural. That the children of the day do their work in day and they don't hide in darkness. And light is day, not night. We're like talking to a 5-year-old basically. Like, hey kid, this is when a day starts, when there's daylight outside, brand new daylight after night, when a day starts. It really is that sad and bad, Carnal people are children, and that's what the scriptures really do teach. There's children of disobedience. Children. They haven't matured and grown up. And this is the games that Paul says to put away, these childish things. It's not talking about putting toys away for believers or spiritual and learning and growing. We're not talking about toys. We're talking about something like that, though, spiritually. Put away these sick, evil games and mind games to try and trap someone, falsely accuse, lead others to believe something false, teach lies, do all these things. Put away these games, childish things. It's something like children making things up and playing with toys and games, and they lie a lot and they do all these things, don't understand what they're doing. This is what it is, you know. Every carnal man I've ever seen. This is what I would do without seeing anything, you know, until he started showing me this is what you're doing, and it's real gross and ugly, and you got to stop it now. So he sends out the whip and starts teaching. And when the whip is sent out, we lose like life, we grieve the spirit, and we get down, and all these other, you know, these. It's not a path of like pure life right at the top, and it never stays like that. See, that's what the judgments are for. But afterwards, when you learn this lesson, then you receive life, like peace, the fruits of the spirit. And that's been true for me, you know. I could testify to that truth. Very true. So it's good to know this truth, that when someone doesn't seem to be doing the best they could and they're in some kind of little darkness, this is normal. If you're a believer, just understand what the judgment's about and what's going on, and have patience. Just wait. There must be hundreds of scriptures that teach on waiting, you know. Address. 1960. Okay. 1965. It's crazy that I'm trying to do this while I'm. It's almost, there's not a single cloud in the sky. Oh, there's a little bit. No contact. Pretty humbling what he made me do. I was a maintenance technician. I fixed cars and I fixed boats. Now I deliver food. And I don't care at all. You know, it doesn't bother me. I'm okay with it as long as I can survive. Automotive technician, boat technician, and then main technician fixing machines. And then this had something to do with, which way do I go? It has something to do with keeping his commandments, you know, and something to do with and teaching me about money and how to start for real, you know, real life thing. Like, I don't make as much money now, and I'm not chasing it. Whatever he gives me, that's it from now on. That's all it is. See, so it's no longer, I'm going to plan this and do this, and I'm going to do this so I can make this much. That's not in my mind at all. It's been showing me that for a few years. Let's see which way. These are the kind of things that believers should be concerned with and talking about, you know, not bubbles and bread. You know, it's good to mention the commandments. You've got to know what they mean. That's what we're asking our Father for, the heavenly talents, the gold, that we increase, multiply, kind of like Israel did, like naturally. Blessings started to spread naturally. Well, now we got to do that spiritually. And then the more someone's given, so that they have an abundance. And then he who has little, such an important teaching. I repeat it because it's like, it's draining how about nobody teaches, like, where it's unbelievable, you know. Church world doesn't teach it. Carnal Jews can't teach it. How could they? He who has little, even that little is taken away, you know. Once you start seeing these things, it's mind numbing how true they are. But it's like, for a carnal man, they just see, oh, here's a Dollar Tree store, I'm gonna get some milk or something. That's all they see. They don't see anything else. These are real things that are going on. So once someone's carnal, and if that's all the evidence that they're carnal, they have nothing. It's not my teaching. You know, they can say it's man's teaching all they want. The wicked have no understanding. It says so. None. and the lukewarm are vomited out. All three of these things spiritually one, not contradicting each other. You know. Let's see, where's the next? Just a second here. Let's see if I could do multitasking. Apparently not. Oh, place, love, love. Oh, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Uh-oh. I'm in trouble now. Is it still recording? Can't find it. There it is. I don't know if it records while it's on the screen. Sometimes I don't know what to do, man. Like the passion for truth, and then it's like you look at the world and it's like, okay, guess I'm going insane. It's just going insane. You want to burst like a balloon. It's been filled up too much. There's no connection, man. There's nothing there with the carnal. It's just, and these arguments get old, and I'm just doing less and less of them. Really, he's telling me that I have to back off, doing like these back and forths. Whereas in the beginning, this was a lot of this going on. Now it's like, okay, I said more than I probably should have said already. Then they make a video and it tempts you to just go away. Forget it, just go away. Keep the mind on good things, truth. False accusations that people make that you hate them because you've exposed the doctrine of demons like hell. What on earth is that? It's extremely unfair and true. But that's what it's going to come across to them. You have to understand that. It will come across as hate. Truth comes across as vicious hatred towards anybody that's in a lie, that's, in lies. So they make it about you, and this is what they've done with my jobs. This is what people do, unbelievers, fake believers, carnal people. They do the same thing, same tricks of the devil, because, the devil is a liar and a murderer, and there's no truth in him. Therefore, his children have no truth in them either. It's the same. If somebody's father really is the devil, there's no truth in them. See, Messiah said, your father's the devil. His will you will do. There's no truth in you. You guys are liars and murderers. Their only goal and intention was to try to make him look bad, trap him in sin, and kill him. They did it with the heart long before they killed him. He's the example that believers have to live. So you look at his life and swallow an apple. This is the very thing everybody runs away from. If I'm becoming more like Messiah every day, then here's what's coming more and more. It is coming. They're going to separate you utterly. And it's real tricky when there's people that look called out. And who knows if, how much money they got, but maybe they don't. Maybe they're telling the truth and they're like poor and whatever. See, they use these things to try and make some look like they're a believer. And they're called out. They expose the church world. It's sick. It's real bad that this thing exists. That was the revelation he gave me on Judas. Something I didn't see some time back. That these exist. Not only do they exist, it's necessary for a believer to see them and go through them. They exist. They really do. How many exactly? I don't know. Maybe one for every 12. I'm not sure. That's not important to me, but they exist. They betray Messiah. Someone that says Messiah, because he's doing everything, he's given the throne. Father gave him all things and all power. So when they say this is what the Father is and what he does, they also say the Messiah burns the tortured people throughout too, because they're one. And I never forget to keep bringing that up to the carnal people. It's like they act like 5 minutes later, like, oh, that's really not a bad thing. Kind of devil tortures, our God tortures people for all eternity. And then they act like I'm watching the words come at them and then they disappear. You could see how vain it is then if someone is truly carnal and when you want to give them truth and you want to see them, you want to see another believer. And then they end up teaching that you hate them and a day starts at night, and they'll do an hour video long of how a day starts at night. It's crazy. And they're tricking people, man. Sabbath night, not Sabbath day. Eat your bread in the morning on the Sabbath day. What's the lesson of this? Well, there is no lesson for a carnal man. Here's my bread with bubbles in it, and at night I'm going to eat my bread. And now I'm righteous. It's a delusion. It's not what our Father, that's not what the thing at the top, that's not what he cares about. We need to learn what this is first, see, and start doing it in the heart. Spiritual food. That's what that bread is. Messiah said, eat my flesh, drink my blood. He's the bread from heaven. We could read it. And you can't live by bread alone. The bread said you couldn't live by bread alone. The true bread. Now, this isn't the true bread. This is something like it, though. Food coming from above, not below. And it gives you what? Physical life? Yeah. So what is this teaching? Spiritual life, eternal life in you. Just, I can't even put words in it when someone calls that teaching mystical. What do they say then? They have no answer. So when we talk about the woman, I give you water, and if you drink, you'll never thirst. She goes and looks for a bucket and said Jacob at least had a well. He wasn't talking about literal water. How can't they see this? That it is water, something like water, spiritual water. It's real. Quenches your thirst, gives you life. I want some of this physical water so I never have to drink water again. That's what her understanding was. And when he asked, do you believe? She said yes. She was a liar. She had no understanding, none. But the carnal women and carnal men will say yes because of pride. I understand what he's saying. No, she didn't. And I'm not blaming her, putting her down or anything like this. I'm just saying that's what he gave me to see. They need to help you. Does such and such believer love me anymore? Do you need help while you're exposing all their doctrines of demons? Do you need a bucket? I can give you water. It's a one-way street with God. It's not iron sharpening iron. So then what is this water then? Well, the spiritual words, spiritual anything is mystical to them. The very valuable thing, the only thing they throw in the garbage, the valuable things that come from above, spiritual things, and life residing in us is mystical, and they throw it. Someone that says it's mystical obviously doesn't have this life and can't see or appreciate even remotely what this life is. It's not just alive. You're alive while you're alive. That's what this life is. Like death and worries and fears and doubts and delusions, they all start melting away, literally when you're alive. And that's why the believers want to figure out what they're doing wrong, when they can see like someone's touched me, some of this life is gone from me. They want this life but more back. And this is foolishness to them. There's no words I can say. on how bad that is, man. They hate our creator. They'll never make a show that they hate, very rarely would someone probably slip up and like, I hate God, they would probably not going to see that. It blows my mind, man. It's just, why on earth did he give me any kind of sight? That's like the question. And sure enough, teaching me it's not because I'm good, not because I'm righteous. Don't think that I'm going to destroy your enemies because of your righteousness. You could read this, Deuteronomy somewhere. No, not because of your righteousness. You're stiff-necked people. I'm just taking your enemies out because of their wickedness. These teachings are constantly teaching us that we don't have righteousness in ourselves. The very thing that these people talk about, they do. I probably better go before something is late. Day starts in the morning. Google it. Find the verses. Really easy. I mean, these are 5-year-old, easy to understand verses. But of course, the understanding needs to be given now. But the verses, there's many. And you'll find out they don't contradict each other. They all teach the same thing, that when night comes, it's called tonight, tonight, today, and tonight. And when the sun rises, it's called tomorrow in the morning. And it's daylight, the beginning of day, like Messiah would have resurrected right at the crack of dawn, probably right perfectly to the second. That's who our creator is, right? It's perfect. Probably the same literal second that whatever it is, the sun first rising, that's when he rose. Daylight came, see, and then it gets brighter and brighter. Not at night, which is what they would have to teach, wouldn't they? The Messiah rose in the darkness. They don't have any spiritual understanding, so what the believers can see, they can't see. So when they say a day begins at night, they don't see the spiritual thing of what's going on there. It's so backwards and wrong. All the teaching and understanding throughout the years that he's given me, I picture all of these things in my head. It's like, boom, there it is. When someone says a day begins at night, and it's spiritually insanity, it's of the devil. New is always daylight, full of light, new creation, not darkness. And darkness represents that spiritual darkness. Darkness came on Egypt, teaching us something. Unbelievers and the Gentiles are in darkness, but his people, there's a light on them. This literally happened, though. But our understanding has to be the thing intended to understand, not just literal light. And, the natural doesn't contradict the spiritual. And that's all. I got to go. Peace, take care, seek truth.